Welcome to today's reading. Today we don't have any specific theme in mind, rather it's just a channeled message from Spirit. So we're just going to see what actually comes through as we go. We have three groups to choose from. We have group one with the Everyday Witch Tarot and the top part of a broken fluorite tower. We have group two with the Waite tarot and the rose quartz. I believe it's like a generator. I'm not sure of the formations all that much. We also have group three with the Seers tarot and the bottom half of the fluorite tower. So it was a really beautiful piece that was dropped, unfortunately. Okay, you can pause the video, take a moment to choose which pile you feel the most drawn to, and we'll get started. Okay, welcome group one to today's reading. If you chose the Everyday Witch Tarot and the top half of the Fluorite Tower, then this is your reading. I have no specific theme, it's just a channeled message from Spirit. We're really just going to see what we get come out here. I am a little bit under the weather, like tired at the moment, so bear with me if things are a little bit like slow or, you know, stop-start. Okay, so we're starting off with the King of Pentacles. I'm just hearing it's the steadiness. So, yeah, I feel like you're in a very steady, strong energy here currently. I feel like almost the steadiness of a Taurus, where there's steadiness that evolves into a stubbornness in some way, shape or form. They're saying it's not highlighting your stubbornness, but it's maybe asking you to look at the steadiness within your life that causes the stubbornness. Okay, so that's what we've got for the first card. I am getting something bizarre here about like whoever this Knight of Cups is for you in your life, that they're maybe trying to come towards you, but you're actually like walking away from them in some sense, or like trying to run away from them in some sense. And I am not sure if this is because it's like an unrequited love here, I guess. Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm hearing that you're just not interested. Okay. And I feel like this person would try to, they give me the feeling of they will chase you and try to spike interest in you and try to draw you in, but then really it is like a shark in water energy where they're really just like looking for the next meal in a sense. So if there's anything that you can know is that your current discernment is exactly on point. And I do wonder sometimes, there's like a specific conversation that goes along the lines of, you know, how stubbornness can protect us sometimes. Yeah. Stubbornness can sort of have that underhanded beneficial outcome. So I do wonder if that's something that maybe your stubbornness has kept you steady. Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. All right, we'll just keep moving on. Okay. Essentially, whatever it is causing this collapse of the foundations that haven't been formed properly in the first place. And I actually feel like I'm getting that this is around belief systems. So it's not necessarily like an external thing playing out within our world. You know, for some of you it could be, or it could be happening simultaneously. But in general, like for this reading right now, I feel like it's a lot of belief systems in place. So I guess maybe we're maturing in some sense. Maybe you've had a lot of growth. I do feel like you know, if you're in this king energy, you've got good discernment and you've already had a decent amount of growth to be even put in a position where you could be considered the king anyway, regardless of gender. There's something here about this unrequited love that actually helps illuminate whatever these false belief systems are. So maybe this is something that you're realizing or recognizing within yourself. Maybe in the past you would have fallen for this unrequited love, or you would have been drawn into some of like the, you know, interest provoking, or the games they play, or the trying to like wow you and catch you and sort of draw you in a sense, only to turn around and like, I guess, abuse it in some way, shape or form, some manner. So I think it's like almost a recognition of your change in perspective, and a change in your wisdom, and a change in your discernment, and a change in your boundaries, where you're not going to let this person catch you out. This doesn't have to be a relationship, like a romantic relationship, I guess. This could show up in a lot of different ways, or many different ways in our lives. I am hearing that with the Tower card here, that there used to be a lot of smoke and mirrors, and I guess what's happened here is that over time you've developed like a really keen sense to be able to see through the smoke and mirrors, or to navigate through it, you know, relying on other senses, because maybe our sight is not necessarily always our keenest sense. We do have a neighbour, if you can't hear it already in the video, that has just started working with some sort of power tool in the background. It sounds like a grinder of some kind, and when I was hearing it, I was getting the mention about like, you know, you're working on yourself or building on yourself or something like that. So, you know, there's always, I guess it's like confirmation that whatever you've been doing currently, you're on the right path, and to keep going with it. And I guess that you're doing well as well, right? Because if we weren't doing well with it, or we're heading in a direction that we're not meant to be, then it wouldn't be about confirmation. It would be like a redirection, if anything. Sometimes the tower moments, or, you know, can be, what is it? Sometimes tower moments can be an example of, like, they manifest in a sense of a rejection somehow that shows up in our lives, and the rejection can essentially be that like divine protection or redirection onto whatever our path is. But I feel like you've already had that redirection, and maybe you've like had the internal awareness of it, but this is applying that redirection through the physical actions within the world now, where you're actually starting to apply this knowledge. So, and I said physical actions, I mean, this was a lot around like belief systems. So maybe what you're doing is applying, you know, your actions and behaviors to the belief system somehow. No, you're applying the belief systems to the actions and behaviors. So you're basically putting it into practice in some way, okay? All right, so that's enough that I need for these three for the moment. Do we want more tarot or oracle? Okay, cool. So we're going to take some Zodiac oracle cards. Maybe just one. Oh no, we got two. Here we go. So we have the Sun card here with a lot of beautiful masculine energy. I'm hearing it's quite steady as well. but also quite illuminating. There's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of lived experience here within this card. I'm hearing this person's energy is off tap. So without using like Australian slang, I guess this person's energy would be a lot, or it could, I don't want to say overwhelming with like a negative connotation, but it could be intense maybe. Yeah. I'm hearing that there's an illumination to the third eye here that you haven't seen before, that has some sort of connection to the heart. And that this energy that I've just been describing here with this Sun card has actually been your energy that I'm describing. So this is not a person outside of you, for those of you that couldn't tell. For some of you, I feel like you know and trust that you've got a decent amount of grit within, like, what is it? Like you could survive well, like you are a survivor. But it's like this lived experience where, yeah, I feel like you're a warrior. Yeah, just in case my accent throws you, like a W-A-R-R-I-O-R, a warrior of some kind. And I'm getting something here about like a nostalgic, primitive, intuitive type of warrior. So there's something here where it's like a primal connection to the earth. So it's almost like your innate, who you are, like your innate essence is a warrior at heart, where, and it's almost like intuitively guided, like you feel like you're more compassionate than maybe most people know, understand, realize, or give you credit for, or have seen within other people within their lives, for even those that do know you. And this is essentially the backbone to how you step into or live or show up in this strong warrior energy. And it's because you've got that compassion. I don't necessarily know if you have like scars to show for hurt times that have created compassion, or rather it is just actually your nature through a little bit. Yeah, there is still lived experience there though. So okay, now we're looking at this Neptune energy, and there's a strong connection here between the Knight of Cups and this Neptune energy of being the shark. So I feel like this is specifically talking about this person here that I get the sense could be like trying to love bomb you, and it was that whole thing of like trying to catch your attention and draw you in, but then there's really no good intentions here at all. It's really like that we had that reference come through before about looking for the next meal. I feel like this person embodies this nature, like they are the shark. I'm hearing divine as they may seem, they are the shark. But you can tell the difference here, like you've got the discernment and the lived experience, and you've had the necessary growth to get to a point where you can actually, you can tell this person, like you can tell who they are. I feel like you see them a mile away, and that's why you're like not letting them get anywhere near you, because you can tell, you can see it, and you're not hanging around for it. You're gonna like get back to your path and just get away from this person and get back to better things. There's some sort of weird energy balance happening here. So with Neptune, we have 21, and in the numerology, if we go 2 + 1, like we're reducing it, the number of digits here, it would be 3. Whereas in the Sun card here, if we were reducing it again, but it was like 3 minus 1, we would end up with 2. So it's this Neptune energy is unbalanced or imbalanced in some way, that it doesn't reciprocate. Maybe that's a key telltale sign for you, is that this energy, this person doesn't reciprocate. So maybe you do something nice for them. I'm trying to think of an example, but I've got nothing. You'll just have to bear with me. It's like you do something for them, and they're like telling you they're going to do all these good things, but they're not actually like really doing anything. So it's like you're looking for the proof, like of the, I guess, you know, the way that we see proof is like the evidence of the actions that have been taken, not a person telling us that they're going to do it, okay? So it's like I keep getting a reference to like the proof being in the pudding. I'm just hearing you have like a lot of knowledge and wisdom here, and to not doubt your own wisdom. Don't doubt your lived experience. Sometimes I know if we come from a background of, I don't know, if we've come out of things with a lot of trauma, we can doubt our own level of judgment, because we've fallen into places where we have come out with more trauma afterwards. But also sometimes we feel like our trauma can skew our vision so that we don't have a clear judgment, if that makes sense. And it can lead to like a vicious cycle where we don't trust our judgment, and we're stuck in trauma, and we don't trust our judgment, and we sort of doubt ourselves, and we can, But the energy that I'm getting here in this point in time is that you're very clear, and you've got a really good understanding, maybe a deeper understanding than other people do. So when you talk to other people about this situation, if that's something that you do, where you try to communicate it, I feel like other people are going to leave you with an initial sense of being a little bit more confused than actual clarity gain from the conversation, because sometimes we get really good clarity from the conversation because it helps us like process things. We get a different perspective from the person we're talking to, but then we also like we can stumble across we can stumble across unthought of potentials to arise within the situation, and sometimes we just like have to say things to realize that that's what we think. We don't even know until we have that like spontaneous exchange of energy through the communication and the talking with other people. I feel like you have been in a really good energy for a little while here, so when this plays out for you, it may catch you off guard a little bit, but it just, like, I even get the sense too of like, the king lives in the king's quarters, and sometimes he can feel sheltered and not know who to trust from the outside view or world or the people around him, because he gets that sense. But here I feel like you don't need to question your own insights or intuition or your wisdom, okay? So that seems to be like a repeating theme or message coming through here. So if at this point you're still doubting yourself and you still feel confused, I understand it can be hard, right? Because this reading is going to play out across multiple scenarios. So it can be hard sometimes knowing whether we take a reading with a grain of salt or not. And I just advise that you already have really good discretion to trust yourself. If you have to, you can find someone to talk it out with, whether they're like a professional of some, like a licensed professional of some kind, or they're like a person that you trust, that you feel will really listen to you without judgment, without like placing judgment or blame in any way. Not sure why blame was coming through there, it's just come out, so we'll see. I actually have not a lot of idea of what this situation could really be surrounding, other than it's just the fact that there is an external person here that's trying to I guess come in strongly, but you see it for what it is with a lot of transparency, and I guess you see right through them. I'm just hearing for the tower that it all burns down to the ground, and you'll know when it happens. I just asked, what do you need to do throughout this situation, like to either help it or to help navigate? And they're just saying you just need to be like cool, calm, and collected throughout all of this process. Because I feel like if you do get a little bit too stoked, you could in return somehow cause a little bit of a tower moment for yourself that wasn't going to happen already anyway. And then there's something else here. I'm just getting that like she can't see clearly when the smoke is in her eyes, so she needs to remain clear. So maybe in general you always have really good clarity and good vision and insight, and you have that good discernment and stuff, but it's like this person's 100% going to try to blow smoke in your face so that you can't see the difference. And you do really have to trust yourself. And I did mention earlier that you will have to maybe try to rely on other senses a little bit throughout this time. So I'm not sure what those other senses are going to be. It can, like we have our thoughts, we have our feelings. Our feelings can go a couple different ways, where we have emotions, but then we have the energetic feelings of what's going on. It might be worthwhile to try to stay grounded where you can. I mean, it's always a best practice to stay grounded where we can, but what I'm specifically mentioning this for, and this could play into that confusion that I was thinking and feeling before, is that if you have a tendency to be an empath or have an empathic nature, where you sometimes pick up other people's like feelings and emotions and all of that, I wonder that could sometimes be the smoke in your vision that stops helping you see so clearly, because you're actually seeing things from that person's point of view rather than your own. So we want to make sure that we take a little bit of time to ourselves on our own to be really grounded, maybe like to sort of sit with that for a bit, because I don't feel like this is actually a time where you need to seek advisement. Like, you'll have advisors, but you're the king. You don't need to, you don't really need to listen to what anybody else has to say. It's that whole, I keep getting discernment, like it's like you don't trust your discernment, and maybe it hasn't worked out for you in the past, but I feel like you've overcome enough at this stage where you can start, maybe try testing in small, safe ways where you can, your discernment, and sit back and watch and see what happens, and start to build that confidence within yourself and your discernment, so that you learn that you can trust it. We don't always get it right, okay? There are going to be times where we just don't, right? But I think that you will eventually see that it can dramatically improve, okay? And there's something that's played out in your experiences. It's caused you to grow. It's given you more wisdom. You've learned or found some sort of insight here throughout everything. Maybe you've had a bit of quiet time to reflect on past experiences and situations to see what's happened here. Okay, cool. So that's everything that I've got for these cards so far for this point in time. We're going to take one of these like paper messages. So, I mean, I don't even know. All right, we've got two. We're going to take both of them. That was not my plan, was just to see whatever fell out. It was more about like, I'll just pick one, but this is what we got. So the first message I have is, I always wondered what it would be like to be truly accepted. I'm hearing something about like to be truly accepted as you are, scars and all. The second message that I have on the blue paper here is, be kind to everyone you meet, especially those you love. This feels like this is sort of what you would say to that shark person, but I wonder sometimes in the past if what has led us to this situation where we don't trust our own judgment, and we tend to fall for people's like love bombing or their words instead of their actions, is because we never really felt accepted. So we don't have that point of differentiation to understand when a person actually does accept us for who we are and when they don't. So if you're learning this for the first time in life, I'm sorry for you that you're having to learn this way, but I'm also really happy for you that at this point in time you have, and it hasn't lasted longer than it has gone on, I guess, okay? So I feel like I want to say like take heed, maybe not take heed, I'm not sure what they're trying to say, something about take comfort or take heed or take relief in the fact that it's not all being, I guess, pain in vain. Like this, your experiences and trauma and things have not necessarily all been in vain. These things have played out the way that they have for a very good reason, because they're going to set you up for something in the future, like being the king or the sun. Like they're setting you up for things in life that I just don't think that you have that. We don't get hindsight, okay? Like we can't see into the future. So it's setting you up for something to be able to like handle situations in a really good way later on, where like this isn't going to happen again because you've got that fantastic discernment, okay? I don't know how much more I can talk about discernment, but I feel called to talk about the fluorite. And you know, crystals are a funny one. There you get different answers of what they can be generally used for, or what they're good for, or what their meanings are, for like just about, you know, every different 1,000 pages on Google or the internet searching, or you know, every person you speak to will have something different to say about it. For me, the fluorite for this reading, the relative characteristics is like it's very dreamy, very protective. There's something like intrinsic to our intuitive nature. I don't know if that even makes sense when I say that, but I wonder, this is more like about embracing or trusting in your intuition, but knowing that I guess the universe has your back, really. And that you can do like a lot of great work with this within the third eye. But do you know what's really funny? Because the colors, like the purple and the green within the fluorite itself, is the purple's like the third eye energy and the green is the heart. And that was that reference that I said earlier about it was like the third eye was seeing or was in touch or expanding somehow. I can't remember how I worded it exactly, but there was like a connection there to the heart in the third eye. So I wonder if you're like developing a love for spirit or the universe or divination of some kind, or I wonder if you end up maybe through a journey of self-love, finding this clarity within yourself through your third eye somehow, through your connection. I don't want to elaborate too much more because I don't want to box this in. I don't want to say potential situations that could be relative for you all, because I feel like there's so many varied ways this could play out that I would only be limiting this reading for people, and we want to keep it really open for the people that this message is for. Like, you're meant to receive it, whether it necessarily plays out in the example I give or not, I guess. Okay, that's everything that I have for this reading for group 1 today. So I hope that you found this helpful in some way and that it resonated. I would love to know if this did resonate for you or not. I guess, you know, in the meantime, you can like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in another video. Thank you. Welcome group 2. If you chose the Rose Quartz and the Waite Tarot, then this is your reading for today. Today's reading is around a channeled message from Spirit. So we'll just see what we actually get come through here. The first card that I have is the 5 of Cups card, and it was giving me the initial like Hermit card feeling. So I do wonder if you've been feeling like you've been going through a period of like isolation or loneliness in a relative sense to some sort of grief or loss here. So I don't know if there's been some sort of necessary romantic relation separation, but rather maybe somebody has stepped out of your life. Maybe there's been a fallout. Maybe it's a whatever it looks like. There's a sense of grief here. Okay, the cups have been spilt. Something's happened, and at this point it feels irreparable. And I wonder if you're questioning what you do from here on out. Okay, maybe your situation is quite dire, and we'll just see. I do sort of get the feeling of a 5 of Pentacles energy here, where you may feel like you've been left out in the cold, but there's not much we can do about what has happened, but rather all we can do is focus on what we actually can do with the way, like with the cards we've been given, I guess. Okay, so moving on to the Strength card. So this is what we have to endure during this time to get through this part of the journey. We have to dig deeper than we've ever had to before, okay? It is beyond imperative for you at this point in time for you to understand the strength that you carry within that you didn't know that you have because you've never had to go there before, or you've never had to dig as deep to find it. You've never been placed in a situation where you've been tested in this specific way or manner, where endurance is the key, I guess, I don't know if I want to say characteristic, but it's the endurance is what you have to embody during this time, okay, to get through it. And I feel like there will be illumination that will come with time, that so you don't realize right now, but it will play out. And for some of you, I'm getting the vision of, you know, if you have a pet like a dog, in the Western world, you know, if an animal gets sick, we can, I don't know, I'm sure everywhere there's all types of doctors for animals and humans, right? But there's vet. It is pretty common, I know people that have pet dogs where the dogs don't have the best of health and they have to, you know, give the dogs a pill, or maybe people like regularly worm or flea treat their animals through taking a pill, where quite often with the animal, you either have to like mix the pill in with their food so they don't know it's there, or you have to be able to sort of put it at the back of their tongue or their mouth so that they can actually like swallow it, because so they don't spit it out, I guess, something like that. So I don't know, I feel like what that message is in reference to is that this will be a hard pill to swallow, okay? It's not going to be nice going down, it's not going to be nice when it's in there, you know, or while it's happening leading up to it, okay? Yeah. I feel like that's a tough point of reference for spirit here with you, because they don't want to grace you with that information or that standpoint. They want you to know that you wouldn't be in this position if you couldn't conquer it, in a sense, okay? If you couldn't come out on top. So you have to know that with whatever that you're facing, that you can do it, okay? Like it's absolutely crucial or imperative here that you know that you can do this, okay? There's no other way about it. And I feel like the strength is going to show you a balance of ease and flow, or ebb and flow, or for some of you, I feel like it will put you in touch with spirit or the universe if you didn't have that already. Maybe it'll strengthen your connection, but I feel like it will, it's like 1 foot in this world and 1 foot in the other world, or the other side of it. I'm hearing something about a fish out of water, so I feel like maybe you're going through this like testing time of isolation and loneliness, and like you're having to, you know, find the strength that you didn't know that you could muster before. And then, you know, maybe while this is all going on, you look quite strange to people from the outside because they've not seen it before, or maybe you're actually finding or developing that within yourself. Maybe you're gaining the strength at this point in your life to be able to talk, like to express who you are, and to not worry about what it looks like to other people. You don't have to justify yourself. I feel like you're safe enough within your own existence and your own being to be able to actually come forth and express yourself, and you know that the world's not going to end, and you know that you're not for everyone and everyone's not for you, and that there's actually some kind of magic and beauty in that fact on its own, okay? I also feel like I've been going through this really fast, or talking like a mile a minute right now, and I do wonder if that's like an energy that part of me gets the sense that maybe you're just trying to move through this as quickly as you can, but part of me wonders if that's just, I guess, you know, your personality at times. I am hearing something about that you will be like guided on this path, so try not to stress too much about it. And sometimes, even if we don't feel like we are the most intuitive person or have a really strong connection with spirit, sometimes our being guided is the random things that happen along the way, okay? Whether it's a confirmation necessarily, or whether it's just something that plays out in our life in a very specific way to redirect our lives, or it's, hey, like I come this way, and yeah, I'm just feeling like you will know when this happens, like you'll see it, you'll know, you'll recognize it, okay? I'm getting something about like, when we get to this point, it's okay, like we can slow down now, like it's okay to take our time a little bit. For some of you, you may be battling with like the sense of the logic and the intuition within itself, and trying to integrate and work the two together. And I guess it can leave us where we do have an exhaustion of like mental overload or overwhelm or energy within ourselves. Okay, ultimately I feel like we've already talked about how this is a really hard time, and I heard a quote at one point in my life that it went something along the lines of just when you think it can't get any worse, it can, and just when you think it can't get any better, it also can get better. So it's kind of a case of maybe you feel like there's just no way things can get worse, but they do. But I don't know if anything new actually happens for you. I'm not here to scare people or anything like that. Please keep in mind that it could actually just be your own processing of the things that have happened that end up leaving you in a distraught, sad, maybe even slightly depressive or manic feelings at that time or state. And I'm getting called to mention again that like maybe you need, like, if you know that you need help, please, like, I encourage everyone, like, if I don't think it's bad for anybody to seek out any sort of talk therapy with like the appropriate qualified professional. Regardless, I think it can only majority of the time serve us really well. But if you specifically feel like you're struggling at this time, I think it would be a really good way that you can support yourself. And of course, we all have that own responsibility and discernment within ourselves to make those decisions, or at least reach out and talk to people to try to help ourselves decide. And so if you're not sure, maybe you try therapy and you just give it a go and you just see, and at least that person can point you in the direction of where you may need to go if it's not something that you want to continue with. At the end of the day, they're only there to help you. Okay. Ultimately, I feel like this time is so testing for you, and for some of you it may resonate with that dark night of the soul, where what you go through here is ultimately what invokes the intuition or lights you up, or you connect somehow, or they want me to just keep saying all the ways that it could be expressed. For some of you it's like that awakening, for some of you it's becoming online, like maybe you weren't as in tune before and now all of a sudden this whole situation encourages your connection to the divine and spirit and Mother Earth, and I'm hearing Father Sky and ancestors and angels and deities and gods and all the things. Okay, I feel like ultimately this sets you up to embrace your own magic within the mundane world that we live in. And I feel like once you get to this point, you'll almost in a sense be an icon for people in a way that helps lead the way. And I think that your story, I don't think you need to necessarily ruminate on it or live in the past or be looking back all the time, but I do feel like your story will help play a part in this, where you're able to express it to people and you're able to demonstrate in a very evident way that this is all played out in a very specific way, where it's really helped you embrace your spirituality, or your spirituality has really, in a sense, helped you a lot greatly throughout a very hard time within your life, okay? And that you will embrace that feeling safe again within yourself and your experience and existence here on Earth. And if anything, you'll only feel supported by Mother Earth in a lot of ways, okay? Okay, so that's what I'm getting for the tarot for the moment. So we're going to take a look at an oracle card. We'll take one from the Herbiary deck. Not the book. We just one card. There we go. Okay, so we have ripple outward with self-heal. Yeah, this is 100% a journey of like a self-healing journey, or self-healing journey. Okay. All right, we're also going to take one of these like colorful messages, pieces of paper that I've got here. I reckon we go this one. Let's put that back. Okay, so the message that we got was your arms are the safest place in the world. And I actually, is this spirit or is this you? I feel like this is you. You learning that you are your safest place in the world, okay? When we talk about inner child stuff, there's the sense that we as an adult, you know, if this is relevant for you, I would hope that you're an adult watching this channel, that the adult learns to take care of the softer inner child parts of themselves, and we essentially help, I don't know what it is, like regulate or teach ourselves. We show the little parts of ourselves or the inner parts of ourselves how to navigate through the world in a safe manner, so that we feel safe enough to trust our experience, that it you know, I guess we show up lesser from a place of anxiety and more from a place of, yeah, just trusting ourselves. Yeah, okay. So you are the safest place in the world for you, your arms, not anybody else's, okay? I mean, we always take help when it comes in a healthy form. Yeah, I don't need to elaborate on that. Okay. I'm hearing something about, like, if you have any questions, leave it here, but I've got no credentials or qualifications in any sort of like mental health, let alone health field at all. This is a reading on the internet, and I'm passing on messages that I'm getting from spirit. One thing that may be helpful for building a sense of community is if this resonates for you, or you have a question regarding something, maybe you can share your question in the comments and see if there is another person from the same group that actually has something helpful and healthy in some way that might help you make a decision or help you understand from a different perspective. Yeah, but outside that, we need to seek help for ourselves, okay? I don't think I can like strongly encourage that enough. Okay, so that's what I've got for that. We're just going to take a couple more cards, but this time we're going to pull from the Neoteric Feminine Tarot. I feel a little bit shaky. Please take time to ground yourself and be kind to yourself and have compassion for the human experience that you've had to live, okay? Okay, so the cards that we've got, we have the Two of Pentacles here. I feel like this has just been a struggle for you to find balance, but you essentially do, to the point where the Ten of Pentacles card here becomes a reality, like a potential reality, where we've learned how to juggle these things within ourselves, within our lives, and we've in fact become the master of learning how to work with whatever this is. And it's not far-fetched at all to think that we actually can turn our lives around, and that we can have that potential for success and, you know, some sort of material wealth or really good health even. It doesn't always have to be about money. This can be the health within which you show up. And I feel like this balance, we'll be finding a balance in lifestyle, boundaries, and, you know, like healthy lifestyle, like healthy eating in moderation with, like, you know, not healthy eating, and exercise without burning ourselves out and things like that, okay? But the feeling that I get is that you feel safe enough, okay, that you can embrace this new journey of learning something new and learning something different, or finding ways to cope with your situation, and that there is actually hope here. There's a lot of hope here. We, you know, yeah, I feel like I'm trying to say too much at once. So there's something, what is it? So we don't always have an initial understanding of where we've had to come from, or skill sets that other people seem to just sort of have. That, like, some people have like a tenacity or an eye for attention, for detail, where they seem to just have great observation or pick up on things that we don't necessarily, and everyone's different, right? We all do it in different ways, so there'll be things you pick up on that they don't. You'll have a depth of understanding that they don't, most likely through the experiences that you've had to live through within your life, right? It's some of the stuff that has gone on for you. I don't know what it is, I can't exactly see, but I know that it hasn't been good, okay? And you need to maybe acknowledge that you didn't have the same starting point as everybody else in life, and that's okay. And the cards that you were dealt with, that's also okay. At some point where, you know, we get up and we do what we can with what we have, and that's the defining point of difference in who you are as a person, who you become, who you show up as, what you have to offer. And when I say offer, like, you know, what you bring to the table doesn't have to be monetary or financial. What you bring to the table means, are you a balanced person? Can you deal with the stresses in life? How do you navigate the struggles, and how do you come out on top? Because I think that you don't give yourself enough credit for the strength that you have, okay? I feel like you've had to muster a lot more strength than what you've been given credit for, whether that's you giving credit yourself or other people giving credit to you, maybe both for some of you, okay? And I feel like this is a time in life where you feel safe and you start to slow down and you start to practice that balance, and you start to, you know, apply some learning and wisdom here, okay? And when I say applying learning and wisdom, I don't necessarily mean of your previous experiences. I feel like you've already got that learning and wisdom from those experiences. I feel like this is where you start to build on your skill set and you start to build on your craft in some way, okay? Maybe what you do changes, and so you feel like you're starting out at the bottom, and you're essentially like finding that balance within being a person that has a lot of general life experience, but you're at the beginning of learning a new skill set or craft of some kind. And so that in itself can be a balance as well, or a balancing act, okay? But there is real, genuine potential, if it's not the case that you end up here, where even if you don't have, you know, millions of dollars, or even if your success looks different to other people's success, you ultimately step into like an abundant time within life, okay? So like, maybe you do some sort of manifesting here on your journey that actually helps you get to this point. Maybe this is a reminder for you that if you haven't done any manifesting type work, that this is a good time, place, way to do it. What I suggest is that we don't get attached to an outcome here. All we want to do is envision, think about, to determine the things that we want in life. So we envision them, and even feel like what it would like to have that thing, like what it would be like to have that thing. And it doesn't have to be an object, but for this message, it's about a thing. It can be patterns, it can be behaviors, it can be people in our lives, it can be like, not that we're being the person or object is in our possession, but it's more about the fact of like, what does that look like, and how do we build that for ourselves in our lives? How do we find it? How does it come in? What does it look like? And then we actually forget about it and just move on with life, okay? So we don't need to be attached to the outcome. We just determine what it is that we do or don't. Like, we're not thinking about things we don't want, we're only thinking about things that we do want, okay? What would it look like for you to just, like, if it didn't matter how much money you earn, if it didn't matter the trauma that you've experienced, if it didn't matter any of the things that have ever held you back before, okay? You're looking at a blank canvas and you're painting the life that you want in some way, and you're not attached to the outcome, because you have gratitude for the present moment that you're within in this point in time, and for the experiences that you've had and the lessons that you've learned. And I think that you have gratitude in a way where you know it's character building, and you know that essentially you're forming a solid foundation within yourself for you to navigate the rest of your life throughout, okay? You're going to have a sense of nous about yourself that not everybody does, all right? It may even bring family in as well. If you like it, not bring family in, but you may find a new form of family that you didn't have before, okay? And it doesn't necessarily always mean like, you know, having kids and stuff. It could be a pet, it could be meeting people that feel like family, okay, if you didn't have that already. So then we get to a point of the Eight of Cups here, and I think that we realize that a lot of the things that we were doing were no longer serving us, and we actually choose to walk away from those things. And it's okay to do that. It's okay to do a bunch of work and realize that where we were heading was not ultimately what we really wanted anyway, okay? It doesn't mean that that time has been wasted. What it means is that you've learned a lot, you've built skills in other areas that are probably, not even probably, almost indefinitely going to serve you in different ways that connect up in a, I guess, a divine sense that you couldn't have foreseen, okay? So it doesn't matter what has happened, and it doesn't matter when your course changes path. It's like that redirection, and it's so good for us, and we just don't even realize. It's kind of like the medicine we didn't know we needed, okay? Yeah. All right, that's everything that I'm getting for these cards. I just want to take a moment. Oh, do you know what? This rose quartz crystal that came with group 2's pile today, you know, like it's not a good crystal I normally think of when I think of having compassion for the self, but it is 100% about the journey of self-love and self-healing, and that often entails a lot of compassion and kindness towards ourselves, okay? It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay for life to have not panned out well, and know that we really have a journey ahead of ourselves. All it means is that we can trust. We have to know that we can get there, okay? You just have to love yourself more than you ever have, okay? Even when it's hard, even when you get the thoughts or the emotions that are challenging this and telling us all the negative things of you can't do this and how could you ever think you could do this, you need to challenge it back. Whether you need to like almost scream out like that I am worth this and that I can do this, and how do you know that I can't do it? You need to challenge these thoughts and beliefs within yourself, okay? There's something like I feel my sacral and my solar plexus chakras really light up when I talk about this, okay? You're going to really have to defend your own self-love to yourself. Like, you are going to be the person that gets you through this, and you do it through love, and you do it through willing to express yourself and let yourself be expressed, and having that trust within yourself, having the willpower to be able to achieve it, okay? Okay, this was a really full-on message. For those of you that have been part of this group, I'm not sure exactly what's played out here, but I'm sorry that this has had to be part of your experience and what it's looked like for you so far. And all I can sort of say is to try to encourage you to get help where you need with the appropriate professional help. Find people. You know, it's not always about talking to people, but it can be really helpful in ways that we can't have foreseen. So even if we can't access professional help, we need to try to find people within our lives where there's, you know, they genuinely are going to listen to us without judgment. And if we don't have that, this is the time to start nurturing that or building that within our lives, okay? But I think ultimately you come out on top and you just doubt yourself too much. And if you realize how strong you were, you wouldn't doubt yourself so much. And having that little bit more of like a confidence within yourself would actually give you enough empowerment to know that you can do this and you can get through it. I feel like you've got more grit than you're giving yourself credit for, okay? Or that you're just giving credit for in general. I don't know if there's much more I can say here, but just please be kind to yourselves. And well, yeah, okay. For some of you, I feel like it could be a good point in time for you to do something to help clear out your energy. Whether you do something like burning some Palo Santo, can be a really good one. Burning sage, so like some form of smudging. Maybe you go and get some sort of energy healing. Doing talk therapy, it's still, you know, it doesn't matter what we do and how mundane it is or how much it shows up in the third dimension where we are on Earth, how humanly it is. Doing talk therapy can still be a catalyst for change in the actual energy, okay? So as long as we're doing something to help ourselves and to try to clear up our energy, then it's good. Sometimes it's like that emotional release and purging and crying and, you know, finding ways to process it and get it out, let ourselves feel it and like move on with it. The quicker we feel something, the quicker we can let it go, okay? But yeah. Okay. Oh, okay, this is a funny one, not one I was expecting. So this crystal is called Stillbite. Whenever Spirit talks to me about the Stillbite, they call it Zoistite. And I don't know if that's because there's some sort of mineral makeup, like scientific mineral makeup here that it may share with Zoistite. I don't even know what Zoistite looks like. All I know is that I get shown images of a very similar looking crystal, a little bit different. And I haven't been able to find it to actually purchase it so that it's a crystal that I can have and take with me. Sometimes I'm asked to mix the energy of this and another crystal to get a similar energy to the Zoistite, but they always refer to it as Zoistite. So if that means anything to you, that's fantastic. But it's weird because it's kind of high vibe, but really calming and grounding at the same time. And that's not a mix that I've really come across very often. I feel like you could do a lot of work with this crystal in regards to the clearing up of the crown chakra. So if there is some sort of like negative thought patterns and beliefs there, maybe what you could do is, maybe you don't even have to go buy a crystal that you don't have, okay? Because we don't all have, you know, yeah, that doesn't matter. But maybe what we can do is we can meditate and we can ask our guides or spirit or whoever we're praying to or meditating to, that we can embody the energy of the Zoistite, and that we ask that it helps clear our crown chakra of any negative thoughts, any rumination, anything caught on a loop, any sort of obsession, any sort of looking back to the past, or worrying and anxiety about the future, any sort of depressive ruminating thoughts, okay? So I think it's really important for you to do what you can to keep clear at this point in time. If you have access to a beach, the salt water is phenomenal. Not all of us can necessarily enter into the water depending on where we are and what our circumstances are. If you can put your feet in it, is fantastic. If you have to sit on the sand and stare at the beach, it may not be as powerful as going in, but I feel it'll still have a subtle change within your energy. Sometimes grounding can be a way of clearing that is an almost inadvertent process. It's best to clear first if you can, or be able to do both of them. But sometimes grounding is our only option at the time given. And what that may look like is that you find some bare earth, whether it's grass or dirt, doesn't matter, and you put your hands on it. Your feet and the sit bones would be good as well, but if you can put your hands on the earth and have the intention that you're discharging anything in the higher chakras that is too much for you to carry, or that no longer serves you, or that you would like to transmute this energy so that you can release it and allow new energy to come through. And if you can feel it release out and then feel a new, I'm hearing abundant energy come back in, that's more uplifting or fulfilling, or it feels renewed. There's some sort of sense of restoration there in that change in energy, okay? Even if you're not sensitive to energy and you don't necessarily feel the difference, I feel like it is still a really good exercise that you could practice that could be helpful for you. Otherwise, for the rest of you that maybe you do collect crystals or something, we don't need a big piece. You can get a small tumble and you can do a lot of work with a really small crystal. The size isn't going to matter here, okay? It's the energy that it embodies. Okay, so that's the crystal. All right, group 2, this is everything that I had for you today. I hope that it was helpful in some way and that it resonated for you. And I wish you the best of luck with this situation, and you can do it, okay? Yeah. I don't want to leave you guys just yet. It's like something's not finished. What is it? For some of you, you may feel like you put your head in your hands a lot, like there's a lot of crying, or it's just the frustration or the just not being able to believe the situation, or just knowing that it's like a tremendous, maybe it's tremendously painful, okay? It's, don't feel ashamed that you're putting your head in your hands so often, because it means that you're feeling it and you're moving through it, okay? You're processing it, and of course you are allowed that validation of, if something happens, it's okay to be, like if an upsetting thing happens or someone hurts you, it's okay to be upset about it. It's okay to cry, okay? Okay, so I feel like we've finished the last of that message now. Please be kind to yourself. Take the time to transmute or transform what energy you can. It'll be really helpful for you. Okay. I still don't even want to let this group go yet. I feel too attached to it. It's almost like maybe you're so attached to whatever has happened here, and I don't know if I'd say it's being attached to an outcome, but it's like being attached to a loss, or being attached to some sort of hurt within our lives. Maybe we're taking too much of other people's stuff on, okay? So maybe it feels like an uphill battle for you. Maybe it's a really hard decision, a tough choice, or a hard thing to walk away from. But ultimately, we know that it's best for ourselves to do that, okay? If you resonate with that, it's okay to walk away. All right, the energy is lifted. Before you leave, if you're still with me at this point, we're going to use the Palo Santo really quickly to like clear this energy up a little bit. As to your own beliefs around it, I'll leave that with you, but I know when I watch, you know, readings through the screen, I still feel the change in energy, so I hope that this does something to help you, and if you're lucky enough that you feel it as well, okay? All right, take care, and I'll see you in another reading. Okay, welcome group 3 to today's reading. If you chose the bottom half of the Fluorite Tower and the Light Seers Tarot, then this is your reading for today. Today's reading is based around a channeled message from Spirit. So there's no specific intention here. We're just taking time to see what message Spirit has in store for us, and to see, I guess see what they have to say, right? We don't need to overcomplicate it. So I wonder if that's something that you've been struggling with recently, is almost trying to help something as best you can, but maybe overthinking it a little bit too much, or restricting it in ways. Sometimes we do things that are coming from a place of limiting self-beliefs, and that your process of moving throughout the world and the different cycles that you will come across, or the different energies that you embody or encompass, will eventually help us move out of this. Okay. For some of you, I'm getting very specifically here, like the Scorpio and Virgo energies coming through. Even when I pull these cards, it's not something I normally really like pay attention to or look for when I'm pulling cards. But there's something here about taking it steady and being mindful of, I don't know, I guess like withholding a little bit before you allow yourself to be too vulnerable, but also realizing that at some point we have to, even if it's in small amounts, to be able to get a better insight into things. This could also be a really good time for you to be setting boundaries. Yeah. Okay, so with this world and card that I have showing up here, I feel like this has been the end or the change of a cycle here, okay? So like there's some sort of old energy that's finishing up or wrapped up, or like it's in the process of wrapping up. I'm hearing within the next week, if it hasn't already, okay? So I wonder if you sort of pay attention to this, if you'll actually see the difference or be able to tell. I feel like you're stepping, is it into or out of? Out of a lot of heart space energy, where maybe you're stepping more into the throat chakra. So it's like maybe you've been doing a lot of like self-love and self-healing, or you know, having compassion for ourselves and all those sorts of things. And maybe you're moving into an energy where it's really about that true authentic self-expression, where we show up in the world. We've already loved ourselves so much that now we get to actually show up as the things that we love within ourselves. And we love ourselves enough that even when people challenge it, or they don't understand it, or we come off so different to them, that we accept it regardless of whether they do. And that's what actually counts, okay? Your own validation is much, much more important than anybody else's. Okay, yeah, we spoke about that expression of allowing ourselves to gradually be vulnerable at different points in time. And I feel like you do have a sturdy, maybe a sturdier foundation than what you have previously, and that there is like a bit of wisdom and knowledge here that you can work off of, that is being built through lived experiences here, okay? Maybe for some of you, I get the feeling that you may be starting like a small business, and at this point in time, you're sort of pinching pennies and finding ways to work with what you have to get around the obstacles that come up as you go. But this Death and Rebirth card here is maybe like the untapped potential or unlimited potential that you don't see within whatever this is. Like there's a level of depth here that you haven't seen or haven't foreseen so far. If this is a person for you, it is likely, I guess they could just be embodying a scorpionic energy at this point in time. But it also could be a case where Scorpio heavily shows up within their birth chart in some way. I'm feeling like there's whether it's a person or a situation or a business of some kind, that you may not grasp the vastness of, say, the universe, and that this is that same sort of energy, okay? So I feel like the universe is so vast that none of us in our human minds can necessarily totally understand it, but we really need that like spiritual journey or some type of experience to have happened to give us a glimpse. Like maybe we have a state of higher consciousness at one point where we get a glimpse of even, you know, 100,000 particles of how great the universe is, okay? Like there's a depth here and a vastness here that we've not really experienced before. And I feel like the only way that you'll get to this point is that inward energy of like that time for introspection and spending time on our own and being really still within ourselves. And I'm getting something here too where we quite often know ourselves the best or the most when we've had to go it alone for a little while. So maybe during this time you've actually built up a lot of depth within yourself. Maybe you feel like you have developed a vastness that a lot of other people don't understand. Maybe other people don't necessarily have that understanding for your depth, okay? Something about your Merkaba, I don't know how to pronounce it, if it's Merkaba or Merkaba. I think it's Merkaba. And it's like your energetic field. There's some sort of, I don't know how to explain it, but I guess it kind of looks like this, where there's like the triangular prisms inside of each other, and it's something to do with our energy fields. It's something to do with like activating the light body, or I wish I knew more about it to explain that for you. But if you, like, we're all already on the internet, right? if you can go onto whatever internet search engine that you use and type in Merkaba. It's Merkaba from memory. I hope that I'm correct with that. I'm sure Google or whoever you use will correct you anyway. And have a little look into the Merkaba. That's all that I'm sort of getting for that card, but I think that maybe this time where you're developing yourself or having quieter inner world reflective time is going to help you in turn with your Merkaba. Maybe it gets stronger, or there's some sort of strength or illumination. Maybe you end up, in a sense, doing a lot of work on yourself here, a lot of deep work on yourself here, almost in the sense of maybe like shadow work as well, where it in turn, you're clearing things out, right? And as a result of clearing things out, not only are we like living in alignment by following our not our purpose, but by clearing things out and living in alignment, we can in turn activate our light bodies, okay? I guess if you're coming from a place of integrity and, understanding that if we work on ourselves, we can show up as a better person within the world, and we can sort of show other people, we can almost be a guiding light in a sense. We don't have to tell people, we don't have to push it on people. People will notice the difference from like a distance, like they'll notice the difference from a mile away, that there has been some sort of change, whether it's energetic or obvious or physical, however that change manifests. They'll be able to tell that there was a very specific change that took place here, and they'll want to know what you did, okay? And I feel like you're going to lead the way in talking. This might not be many people, it might be one person, but you're going to be a living example, okay? Where if you don't end up talking to them about it, you're just showing up as the example that there's this possibility within the world exists within yourself. You're the evidence that the potential is there, okay? I feel like you also find a sense of illumination within yourself or insight that you didn't have before. And this is part of your deep transformative process as you go. Ultimately, we're going from a person or a place where we do feel like we have to be a bit guarded or protective of the things that we have, because maybe for good reason we've lost things before, right? We're starting out a new cycle and we're unsure of how to show up or operate within this new cycle or part of our lives. But ultimately throughout this like transformative process, for some of you this could be the death of an ego, like an ego death type of spiritual experience or awakening here. And ultimately it's like that deep insight into ourselves where we know ourselves really well, and we trust ourselves, and we build that inner wisdom. I'm trying to not repeat the same thing here, but if you aren't taking, I don't know if it's that you're not taking it seriously, but it's like maybe you don't believe it could be possible, or maybe you think it's too good to be true for you, or maybe you just, I don't know what it is. There's something here where it's like they want me to continue to express it in the various ways that I can, so that you will take it on board in some way, or it will stand out to you, I guess. Because sometimes it's not about our lack of willingness to take it on board. Sometimes it's our attention and the mental bandwidth of which we show up with in a day doesn't always grant us that ability to retain information. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so next we're going to take an archetype card. Hopefully this will shed some insight or help confirm something for you. I'm just hearing like there's no coincidences, so hopefully that's helpful to some of you in some way. That's what we want. Okay, I didn't think we were going to take this many, but here we are. So we have the mystic, the bully, the guide, the angel, the liberator, and the poet. I'm hearing that there's two people here. Okay, so the first person, I feel like this is for yourself. If it doesn't apply, you can flip the energy here. Where you revel in intimate union with the divine. You may have dealt with concealing deep fears behind verbal or physical abuse. So maybe this is something that's played out for you in the past. and no, I've missed something here. There is also the highlighting your tendency to intimidate others helps you confront the inner fears that bully you. So maybe for some of you, it's like learning to stand up for yourself, whereas in the past you would have, I guess, stayed caught up in that fear that would have allowed this situation or the cycle to perpetuate itself, okay? And the guide, it represents the nature of the divine in life and in yourself. So I feel like spirit is really helping you here in some way, okay? It's like, I don't know if you do a lot of work with like spirit or the universe, and if it's not something you set out to intentionally do, it's something that like almost happens as a consequence along the way of, or as a result, sorry, from what you actually go through and how you learn to overcome it for yourself. What's the second person here? Oh, I feel like this is somebody new that comes into your life. It doesn't have to necessarily be like a romantic interest or anything. It could be a friend. It could be like maybe family that you haven't seen for a while, and then all of a sudden they sort of resurface or something like that. There's some sort of person coming in, and they are a person that will help those in need with no expectation of return. And this would be an energy that would be really confronting for you if you have had a history with the, like, you know, abuse and stuff, where this person is not going to expect anything in return, and they're not going to hold anything over you. They're not going to use it as a manipulation tactic, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Excuse me. Now, they're also going to embody a couple of aspects or attributes here of the liberator, where maybe they're helping you free yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns, and dualistic energy that you might have to be mindful of during this time is imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate and ignoring legitimate constraints. I don't necessarily, I'm hearing that it's like not nefarious. So I think what it is that sometimes we really find something that has like helped us really strongly, where it's shown up in our lives in a really profound way, and that we then try to share that with others, but we don't realize that it doesn't look the same for everybody else, okay? So that's all it is. It's like a difference in the experience or the events that have played out where it looks the same, but it's not necessarily the same, okay? So you're only trying to be helpful, but maybe we need to be more mindful of when we're trying to help people, whether it's being well received or not, whether they actually want the help or not is another thing, okay? And then lastly, I feel like this person speaks really well, okay? So the light attribute is expresses soul insights in symbolic language, and the shadow attribute here is turns a lyric gift to negative or destructive effect. I'm just hearing something here about like just being careful of what you say, but I think that's a very specific, that's like, sorry, it is a specific message only for like a couple of people in this entire group, okay? Where it's not so much actually about that. Take it as it resonates. Don't make anything fit, like don't try to make anything fit that doesn't actually resonate for you. Or don't, yeah. I just feel like whatever this energy is that this person may be a good communicator, and to be mindful of the way that they word things, because maybe if they are a good communicator, maybe there will be insights that will go unnoticed if we're not used to it. So I know for myself, you can tell sometimes I don't have the best vocabulary, like I'm not an educated person in a sense of university degree or a tertiary education past high school. So what can happen when we have a restricted knowledge of vocabulary is that we don't, it might not just be that, but it's like a couple things that work in tandem. So it's like a restricted knowledge of vocabulary and, you know, life experience with the people around us, maybe not having a great vocabulary. But we don't recognize that sometimes the way that we speak isn't always what we necessarily mean. And I feel like this person does speak in a way that communicates what they mean very well. They're very precise, and they're very good at conveying the message that they're trying to get across. You may not be used to that, so I think when you hear them talk, it may take you a little bit to catch up to them to really understand what they're saying and where they're coming from, because you yourself may not have the best understanding of what they're actually, of what those words mean. Like, you'll get the gist of it. I'm not trying to say you're not an intelligent person. It's not the case at all. If anything, you probably are, because you have the ability to keep up with them, okay, without having that prerequisite of life experience or education or whatever it is that entails. Like, you may not have had, yeah, you get it, okay. All right, so that's everything that I'm getting for those cards. Oh, okay, so we're going to take message. We'll just, I don't know, give it like a little stir up, but I think we want this one. Okay, the message that we have is The Special Two by Missy Higgins. Oh, so I feel like, yeah, okay, some of you, if it's not the fact that this person turns out being quite special to you, it could be in a religious, not a religious, Jesus, where did that come from? Maybe it is in a religious sense too. Maybe this person is so special to you, treat them like religion. But I think, yeah, I actually get that sense that that could be the case. Who is the person that sings that song? Alice in Wonderland says something. I can't even remember what the name of the song is. I'll have to go back and find it afterwards and list it in the description box under the group, but it was something about like treating you like religion. I think it comes up in other songs as well, right? It's like a well-known expression, and I guess the expression is what matters, not the song. So do you know what? I'm not actually going to post a song, but to the point, The Special Two, maybe this new person that comes in for you ends up actually helping you in a lot of ways, and you do end up, in a sense, becoming the special two, even if it's not romantic, okay? All right, group 3, that is everything that I have for you today for this reading. I hope that this message was helpful and resonated in some way. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you in another video.